Hey folks, so I'm finally gonna get this LVL set. So if you haven't been watching, this is a 24 by 50 wood frame building. I'm finally getting around to setting the last header for this garage door, 16-foot garage door. The other garage door I just used two 2x12s, but for this one, 16 foot, I used an LVL, and it's 14 inches, about 18 feet long, 1.75 inches thick. So two of them together makes them 3.5, and it'll fit just fine on my 2x4 walls. So thought it'd be a good opportunity to use my tractor. It's a Kioti CK2610. I'm going to use it with the pallet forks to lift the LVL up. I'm doing this all by myself, so this was probably the easiest way I could think of to do it. In the past, I've rented things, rented equipment, HVAC lifts, and that helps a whole lot. And that works really well too, but you know, I didn't want to have to rent anything, and I had had the tractor and the pallet forks, and that worked out pretty good. Saved me some money anyway. So I'm just trying to get it in place. It looks like the left side is going to be a little bit closer to the wall than the right side is, so I'm going to have to get down, and I'll use a 2x4 to try to nudge it in position and set it up on the jacks. It wanted to teeter-totter over the pallet forks, so every time I move one side, the other side would move back out of place, but I'll eventually get it. I just need to get it up on the jacks just enough to where I can tilt it up and get it in position without having to do any heavy lifting. So I'm glad I didn't put the entire top plate all the way across. Having just a partial top plate was enough to keep everything out of the way, but also enough to be able to nail the LVL up and hold it in place. It's not very heavy, but trying to do it by yourself, lifting the whole thing up would have been a little bit too much. So tractor made easy work of it all. Just trying to get it flush with the outside of the wall and the outside of the top plate. And then I'll nail it in place with my nail gun, just tack it in place temporarily until I can, once I get them both up, then I'll nail them both off properly. Like I say, I'm just tacking them in place right now, just enough to hold it in place so it won't fall off. Now that I have it flush to the wall, I can go to the other side, nail it off in place, doing the same thing I did on this right side, just tacking it in some areas to get it held tightly and secure. And then I just lift the other one up. This one was a little bit quicker, a little bit easier. Would have been nice to have, this would have been a good time to have a self-leveling bucket using with the pallet forks. I was having to go up a little bit and then level it off, go up a little bit, level it off. But this is really the only time that I've ever felt the need to have a self-leveling bucket. Any other time when I'm doing loader work and stuff, it's really not necessary, and I don't feel the need for it. But doing things with the pallet forks, something like that would come in handy. I think it'd be nice if you could turn it off and on. If you had a self-leveling bucket that you could flip off and flip on and use it when you needed it, that'd be pretty nice. But it wasn't that big a deal. Just raise it up a little bit and then tilt it forward to level it off so it doesn't slip. And there was a couple times I'd almost flip it forward too much, and I thought I was going to flip it right off the pallet forks. Luckily it didn't fall. I wanted to creep forward a little bit. I didn't want to, push the wall out of plumb. I had to take the one of the braces down that was holding the wall plumb on this end of the garage door because I had it nailed to where the jacks are. So I had to take the brace off so it could be a little bit shaky. Oops, almost dropped it. It stayed though, thankfully. But I'm being pretty cautious because I didn't want to push the wall out of plumb. So just creeping up on it slowly and then try to get it the rest of the way by hand. Wasn't too heavy, so it was easy to push it up in place. Just got both sides up in place and started flipping it forward, flipping it up rather. And thankfully it fit long ways. I had it cut the proper length, so I didn't have to bring it back down and trim it off or anything. It was fit right the first time. I just do a couple nails in it, tack it in place. And once I get the tractor out of the way, I can go back and nail it off later. Here comes the moment of truth, whether or not my tractor is going to fit underneath this garage door opening with the ROPS up. It does fit just perfect. There's actually, it looks a lot closer than it is, but there's actually probably about 4 inches of room to spare between the top of the ROPS and the bottom of the door. Well, it wasn't the prettiest, most graceful thing, but it did what I need for it to do anyway. Kept me from having to rent a lift or do anything else. So this was the easiest way I could think of to do it by myself. Last time I did this, I used an HVAC lift and just hand cranked it all the way up, which worked great. But I had to rent that, and it was like $160 or something. So this way it didn't cost me anything. So now all I have to do is plumb this wall back up, finish nailing that off, and this LVL is set, ready to go. Finish putting the top plate back on, or putting the top plate on, both top plates actually. Run it all the way across, tie that other wall in, make sure this wall is plumb. lay this wall out, which I've already started laying out on this end. So finish laying it out, and then I'll be ready to set the rafters. And then, so now all I need is a couple of dry days. It's been so rainy in the last couple of weeks. It's either rained or it's just been too muddy to work. And then by the time it's starting to dry out, it rains again. And then so it's been a big delay, waiting for it to dry out. I came home this afternoon, and it's still wet and muddy out here, but it's not as muddy as it has been. So I thought I could go ahead and get the tractor out and just see what I could do with it. Worked great, I think. And then the biggest thing is my tractor fits without having to put the ROPS down. So that was the big thing. Even if I have to, I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna put any trimmers or anything underneath there. I'm gonna try to get away without doing any trimmers underneath the LVL to keep the door height, as high as I can get it. But even if I do, I have a few inches to spare. So even if I do, I can bring it down just a little bit, but I really don't want to if I don't have to. So I'm really happy that it fits, because that was the whole point of this whole thing, is being able to get my tractor in and out of here on that side. So, all right, so that's pretty much it for now. Next time you see me, I'll be putting rafters up, hopefully. So you'll have to come back and see how I manage that by myself. It's pretty high up there, at least for that ridge beam. It's about 17, 18 feet, something like that, to the ridge. My ladders won't work. I don't have any scaffolding to get that high. So check back with me and see how I get that done. All right, appreciate you watching. Take care.